Good morning, students. Welcome to Diamond Group of Institutions. Next, we are going to start a new chapter called Atoms. So, in that Atoms chapter, we are going to discuss the topics. First topic, J.J. Thomson model. Second, Rutherford model. Third, Bohr's atom model. Then, spectral series and de Broglie's explanation about the Bohr second rule. So, students, Atom. Atom is a smallest invisible particle. All elements are consisting of very small invisible particles called atom. And that atom consists of nucleus having positive charge and the electron present outside the nucleus. And the first, remember who discovered an atom? That is called Dalton. So Dalton gave a theory, a point, all elements are made up of, consist of a small invisible particles called an atom. Then afterwards, regarding the atom, the first structure of the atom was given by the scientist J.J. Thomson, model of an atom. What is the name of the scientist? J.J. Thomson. So he told that in an atom, complete positive charge as well as the negative charge both are distributed uniformly inside the atom. So every atom is uniformly positively charged. Every atom is uniformly positively charged sphere of radius how much? 10 power minus 10 meter. That means he told that atom is in spherical shape and having radius how much? 10 power minus 10 meter, in which entire mass of the atom is distributed uniformly. And whatever the negative charged particles are there, those negative charged particles are called as electrons. So, regarding an atom, who told the scientist? That is J.J. Thomson. The negatively charged electrons are embedded randomly. And this model is also called as what? Plum pudding model. That is like watermelon. If you see any watermelon, in that there are black seeds are there and red color portion is there. So like that, whatever the seeds are there, they are nothing but the negatively charged particle, and whatever the red color portion is there, that is covered by positive charge of an atom. And this theory is not explained about some points. That means this theory was failed due to 2 points. That is, it could not explain the origin of spectral series. That means this J.J. Thomson not explained regarding the spectral series, and it is not explained regarding the positive charge of an atom. Where that positive charge exactly present, that point is not covered by the J.J. Thomson model. That means it could not explain the large angle scattering of alpha particles. That means you see here in an atom there is a positive charge is also present with negative charge. So both charges are present inside an atom, and whereas that negative charged particle, he called it as an electron. So this theory is failed because of reasons. The distribution of positive charge is not explained properly, and where the electrons are present, that is also not covered by J.J. Thomson model. And one more point is that how the spectral series is going to be formed. This point is also not covered by the J.J. Thomson model, and this J.J. Thomson model is also called plum pudding model. That means he compared the structure of the atom with the structure of the watermelon, as the first structure of the atom was introduced by the J.J. Thomson. So what are the merit points here? In an atom, positive charge is there, negative charge is there, but that negative charge is called it as an electron. And where that positive charge is present, he told that positive charge is distributed uniformly completely in an atom, but that was wrong point. And next experiment after the J.J. Thomson model, Rutherford and his students Giger and Marsden have done alpha particle scattering experiment. So based on that experiment, they confirmed that whatever the positive charge of an atom is not distributed inside an atom, that completely situated exactly at the center of the atom called nucleus. So who discovered nucleus? Rutherford model. So first model was J.J. Thomson model. According to J.J. Thomson, electron having negative charge, that negative charge is like seed in a watermelon, and the positive charge is distributed uniformly in an atom. You can see here both positive and negative charges you can see inside the atom itself. So there is no positive charge regarding the nucleus. There is no information in J.J. Thomson model. So after J.J. Thomson model, and based on the J.J. Thomson model, Rutherford and his students have done alpha particle scattering experiment, and based on that alpha particle scattering experiment, they come to know that in an atom, positive charge is not distributed anywhere. Complete positive charge of the atom, how much may be the positive charge of the atom, is there in an atom, that is completely at the center itself. So that center itself word is called as what? Nucleus. So who discovered nucleus? Rutherford. And who discovered an electron? J.J. Thomson. So this electron is having which charge? Negative charge. And this nucleus is having which charge? Positive charge. So who discovered nucleus? Rutherford. Who discovered an electron? J.J. Thomson model. So next, now we are going to study the alpha particle scattering experiment that is done by Geiger and Marsden. So it is an arrangement of alpha particle scattering experiment done by Geiger Marsden experiment, the students of Rutherford. And next, before going to this experiment, again we will go through what J.J. Thomson point. What J.J. Thomson told that the atom is in spherical shape, and that atom is having both positive charge as well as negative charge. Both are uniformly distributed in an atom, and was not explained regarding the positive charge of the atom. That means the positive charge, where is exactly it is going to be distributed, that is not explained by the J.J. Thomson, but whereas the negative charge particle is called as an what? Electron. So now regarding the positive charge, based on the J.J. Thomson model by the scientists Rutherford and Geiger and Marsden have done an experiment called alpha particle scattering experiment. See the diagram here. There is a source called bismuth, radioactive source substance, and this is emitting alpha particles. All the alpha particles are moving straight through lead blocks, and they are falling on the screen. That is called thin gold foil screen, and this is the gold foil screen. Alpha particles are falling. They are coming and reaching this gold foil screening. After touching or after passing through the screen, we can see that the number of alpha particles are moving in different directions. And see this, there is a detector. This detector is going to be detect with at what angle the alpha particles are making scattering, and that is called as a detector. And the number of alpha particles you can see here, maximum particles are moving straight from this gold foil, but somewhat there may be one or two particles are around very few alpha particles, they are moving in different angles, but you can see most of the alpha particles they are passing straight through the gold foil screen. And based on this, he observed that most of the alpha particles, the observations are like this, most of the alpha particles, that means the number of alpha particles are passing straight through the gold foil. See here, maximum number of alpha particles are passing through straight. Next, about 0.14%, very less percentage of alpha particles are incident on the screen, that is gold foil screen. They are scattered by more than 1 degree. So how much the percentage? 0.1% of alpha particles are passing through the gold foil screen. They are scattered by how much degree? 1 degree. And the third observation is that about 1 in 8,000 alpha particles, about 1 in 8,000, that means if 8,000 alpha particles are passed through the gold foil, then only one particle in that 8,000 particle, they are deflected by more than how much degree? 90 degree. So these are the observations made in the Geiger-Marsden experiment. Now you can see this diagram like this also. So this is a gold foil screen, and these are number of alpha particles are approaching. See here, this alpha particle is passing straight because there is a gap here, and see this alpha particle, it is coming towards this, but there is some repulsion is existing between this one as well as this positively charged alpha particle. So it is going to be scattered in different direction, and this alpha particle is again going straight like this, and this alpha particle is also going straight like this. So here you can see that there is a Coulombic force, or we can say repulsion force is exist. So here some positive charge is there. So that positive charge is repelled by the alpha particle. That means the alpha particle is repelled by this positive charge. So this is called as repulsive force. So this repulsive force indicates that whenever the alpha particles, that means positively alpha particles, when they are approaching towards the coil, some are deflecting. So that deflection is because of what reason? That is called repulsive force. That is also we can call as Coulombic force. Why it is called as Coulombic force? Alpha particle having positive charge. So there is some positive charge is also exists here. Due to positive they are going to be repelled each other. So that's why you can see here there is a particle here, it is going in different direction, but there is a gap between different particles also. That's why some of the alpha particles are moving straight. See here, this alpha particle gone straight. That means there is a gap here, and here also gap here. But here, this, if this particle is coming like this, there is some repulsion force is existing. So that's why it is going in different direction. So based on this experiment, it will come to know that some positive charge also present in an atom. That positive charge having massive charge. That means it has most of the mass. That mass is repelled. This alpha particle is repelled by that positive charge. So based on this experiment, conclusion, that is concluded that the most of the alpha particles are not deflected. So maximum alpha particles are not deflected because in this gap they are going straight. So what it means, most of the alpha particles are not deflected. It indicates that most of the space in an atom is empty. That means there is an empty space present in an atom. That is the first conclusion. Second, positive charge of an atom. Just now I told, positive charge of an atom were concentrated in very small region at the center of the atom. Then Rutherford named this heavily and positively region as what? Nucleus. So based on this repulsive force and based on the alpha particles are moving straight, Rutherford come to know that whatever the positive charge of an atom is present exactly at the center. So that center is called as nucleus. In that nucleus, protons are present. That positive charged particles are called protons, as well as the neutrons also present having neutral charge. So that's why the mass of the nucleus becomes heavy compared to the electrons which are present outside. So see the conclusion once again, alpha particles are not deflected. So it indicates that most of the atom is empty. So there is an empty space is also present in an atom. That is the first point. And the positive charge of an atom was concentrated in small region And but according to J. J. Thomson, the positive charge is distributed anywhere. But after the alpha particle scattering experiment, it will come to know that the positive charge, it is not distributed anywhere. It is present exactly at the center of an atom. So that center is called as an what? Nucleus. So based on the experiment, we we must know that the atom consists of positive charge that is exactly at the center of an atom, whereas the negative charge in an atom present outside the nucleus. So this is the observation as well as the conclusion regarding Giger-Madsen experiment. The name of the experiment is called alpha particle scattering experiment. Also, you can see a graph that is plotted against number of alpha particles deflected and with scattering angle. You can see this, the graph is in this manner. That means the number of alpha particles are decreasing. That is, they are deflecting less as the angle increases. So, you can write the relation between number of alpha particles deflected as well as the scattering angle by the relation n in proportional to 1 by sine power 4 theta. That means n inversely proportional to 1 by sine power 4 theta. So this is the relation which is given by the experiment. So next concept, impact parameter. So here there is a nucleus. For this nucleus, an alpha particle is coming towards the nucleus, and this particle having charge positive, and it is coming up to certain distance towards the nucleus. But here, due to repulsion, it is moving away, that is deflecting with an angle called theta. So how much the initial velocity is here? U, and you can see that this is the center of the nucleus and this is the alpha particle is moving in different direction, and you can see there is a perpendicular distance here it is creating. So that perpendicular distance is called as what? Impact parameter. So what is perpendicular? Why the perpendicular distance is creating? It is the perpendicular distance is created between the center of the nucleus as well as the path of the alpha particle. So see the definition, the perpendicular distance of the initial velocity vector. That means alpha particle is moving with initial velocity u and alpha particle from the center of the nucleus. So this is the center line of the nucleus and this is the alpha particle is scattering. So between these two lines there is an angle created that is called perpendicular distance. So that distance is called it as impact parameter. To calculate the impact parameter, the mathematical expression is b equal to d by 2 into cot theta by 2. So if the scattering angle, that is the angle of approaching, is less than 90, then b is large. That means the impact parameter will be large, and the angle of scattering is greater than 90, then the impact parameter will be small. So these are the questions, they are going to be asked for 1 mark. And if theta equal to 180 degree, that means in place of theta, if you substitute 180 degree, so 180 divided by 2, it becomes how much degree? 90 degree. So cot 90 degree value is how much? 0. So automatically we can say that the impact parameter is 0. So see once again the diagram. This is a nucleus and here an alpha particle is approaching towards the nucleus. Due to the alpha particle is having positive charge and this is having positive charge, always there is a repulsion exists. So that's why the alpha particle up to certain distance it is approaching. Afterwards it is going in different direction by creating an angle is called theta. So that is the angle here scattering, and between these two lines where the alpha particle is approaching with velocity as well as the center line of the nucleus, there is an angle created, the distance is created, that perpendicular distance is called as what? Impact parameter. So what is the symbol is B. So if the angle of scattering is less than 90, the impact parameter is large. So if theta is greater than 90, impact parameter is small. If you take theta equal to 180 degree, the impact parameter will be minimum, that is 0. So next one, distance of closest approach. So up to what distance the alpha particle is approaching. So this is the alpha particle is approaching towards the nucleus or towards the screen. So this alpha particle is having charge how much? Positive. So this particle having positive charge. So this nucleus is also having which charge? Positive charge. So up to certain distance. So up to certain distance the alpha particle is approaching towards the nucleus. But after reaching some distance, its kinetic energy is becomes zero. Then it is going in different path. That is अपना path बदलते जा रहा है. That is retracing its path in different direction. So this is distance up to what distance it is approached the nucleus is called as what? Distance of closest approach. Very simple. The minimum distance up to which an energetical alpha particle, whatever the energetical alpha particle is traveling towards the nucleus, can move before coming to rest. That means its kinetic energy is reducing to zero and its path is changing, that is retracing its path. So that distance of is called distance of closest approach. So up to some distance it is approaching. Afterwards it is going, due to repulsive force, it is going in different paths. So that distance is called closest of approach. So you can calculate the distance of closest approach by d equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze into 2E by Ek. Or you can calculate the kinetic energy also, Ek equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze into 2E by D. So this is, see that Ze, this is charge of the nucleus. What is the Z? Charge of the nucleus. Z indicates atomic number. E indicates charge of an proton. Then 2E. So 2E indicates charge of alpha particle. So what is meant by alpha particle? Helium nuclei. Yes. What is meant by an alpha particle? Helium nuclei. That's why helium is 2. So that's why here it is replaced by 2E. So this is Q1. You can say Q1. This is Q2. Separated by the distance D. So Ze, charge of the nucleus. 2E, charge of an alpha particle. So once again go through the definition. Up to certain distance, alpha particle having positive charge. Whatever the nucleus is having positive charge, both charges are repelled. So before repelling, it is approaching up to certain distance. So this up to certain distance is called as what? Distance of closest approach. And you can calculate the distance of closest approach by the formula d equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze into 2E by Ek. What is Ek? Indicates kinetic energy. See the difference between these two figures. This is the first structure by J.J. Thomson. And this is the structure of an atom after alpha particle scattering experiment. So see the difference here. According to J.J. Thomson, both positive and negative charges are uniformly distributed in an atom. And here there is no information regarding the nucleus. That means whatever the positive charge is, it is distributed like the red color portion in a watermelon, and whereas the seeds in the watermelon are nothing but this electron. So this negatively charged particle is called as an what? Electron. So who discovered an electron? J.J. Thomson. But after the alpha particle scattering experiment, the atom figure is changed to like this. So see here, exactly at the center we are donated the symbol plus. So this plus indicates what? Complete positive charge in an atom, not distributed in this manner. So complete positive charge of an atom not distributed in this manner. So you see here in the diagram, there is nothing positive charge outside here. complete positive charge is exactly at the center, called as what? Nucleus. So after which experiment? Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment. The positive charge is not completely distributed in an atom. Whatever the positive charge in an atom is there, that is situated exactly at the center of an atom. So that is called as what? Nucleus. And see the electrons here. Electrons are also there in an atom according to J.J. Thomson. But here the electrons having negative charge, they present outside the nucleus. Outside the nucleus, and they are revolving continuously around the nucleus. So these stars are indicate the electrons. So electrons having which charge? Negative charge. So negatively charged electrons, they are revolving continuously around the nucleus, provided by two forces. One is attractive force called electrostatic force. One more is called circular force, is called centripetal force. So see the difference between these two diagrams once again. Positive and negative distributed uniformly wherever it wants. But this theory was failed. But concluding some merit points, Rutherford have done alpha particle scattering experiment. Then it will come to know that the positive charge is not distributed anywhere. Complete positive charge of an atom always present exactly at the center of the atom. That is called as what? Nucleus. So you can say who discovered nucleus? That is Rutherford. And who discovered an electron? J.J. Thomson. So what about the electrons? Electrons are revolving continuously around the nucleus, provided by how many forces? Electrostatic force as well as the centripetal force. Electrostatic force means there are two charges here. One is positive, one is negative. So that force is called electrostatic force, and the electron revolving circular path. So that circular path force is called as what? We can say centripetal force. So both forces are exist here. Right. So nucleus is exactly at the center and having which charge? Positive charge, and electrons are present outside the nucleus. They are revolving continuously. We can say that here plus is nothing but Ze. So in place of plus we can write Ze also. Why Ze? Z indicates what? Atomic number. And E indicates what? Charge of proton. That means you remember that in nucleus two particles are going to be present. One is proton having which charge? Positive charge. And one more particle is called neutron having neutral charge, that is no charge. So that's why plus 0 becomes what? Plus. So why the charge of the nucleus is indicated by positive sign? Means this nucleus consists of two particles. One is proton, one more is neutron. Proton having which charge? Positive charge. Neutron having which charge? Neutral charge, that is no charge. So if you add these two charges, you are going to get the positive sign. And why this Ze symbol means, if you take any element in your periodic table, you are going to be represented by X, Z, A. So Z indicates atomic number, A indicates mass number. So what that Z is nothing but number of protons present in the nucleus. And where that A indicates number of protons plus neutrons present in a nucleus. Say once again, what is meant by atomic number? The number of protons present in a nucleus. Then the number of protons with number of neutrons. Totally we are saying it as atomic mass number, or directly we can say mass number. This is atomic number. So that's why if there are 3 protons, if there are 3 protons, then what will be the charge of this nucleus? Q equal to Z into E. So Z indicates what again? Atomic number, that is number of protons are 3 and multiply by the number 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. That will give the charge of the total 3 protons. So that's why the symbol we are using it as Z into E. So if you want to calculate for any nucleus, you can calculate the charge of the any nucleus by using the formula Z into E. Suppose X C612 carbon. So here Z number is how much? 6 and A number is 12. So Z equal to 6 means number of protons are 6. Here number of protons plus neutrons total becomes 12. So if you want to calculate the charge of the nucleus of carbon atom, so you can use the formula Q equal to Z into E. Again Z value, number of protons are 6 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. Like that, you can calculate the charge of any nucleus using the formula Q equal to Z. So that's why in figure we are indicating the nucleus as plus Ze and the charge of an electron is denoted by minus E and the electron present outside and the proton present, that is positive charge present exactly at the center of the atom called nucleus. Now we come to know the postulates of Rutherford. That means after alpha particle scattering experiment, he highlighted regarding the nucleus, that is called about the positive charge. So we are going to learn now about the Rutherford model of an atom. So Rutherford means, always you remember, you should highlight the point nucleus. See the diagram. Just now we discussed the difference between old J.J. Thomson model structure, now Rutherford model structure. So see here, complete positive charge is present at the center called a nucleus and this charge and the mass of an atom completely depends on the nucleus, because remember nucleus consists of both proton as well as the neutron. So both are having the mass. So that's why the mass becomes heavier in the nucleus compared to the electrons which are present outside. So see the first point, the atom has a small positively charged nucleus. Means atom have the positive charge, that positive charge, the particle that is called as what? Nucleus. And all the positive charge, how much may be the positive charge in an atom? That always at the center and most of the mass of the atom. That means, see here, proton and neutron means you can say mass is heavier compared to the electron, because electron the only particle present outside. But here how many particles are present? 2 particles. So mass is heavier in nucleus compared to the electron present outside. So positive charge of an atom, most of the mass of the atom is concentrated in the nucleus. That means maximum positive charge, we can say directly complete positive charge, and maximum mass of an atom depends on what? Nucleus. And third point is regarding the size. That means atom has a size 10 power minus 10 meter and nucleus is having size 10 power minus 15 meter. And when an electrons are revolving around the nucleus, there are going to be exist 2 forces. You can see here the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and electron provides the centripetal force to keep the electron in orbit. That means electron is in particular orbit, presenting in that particular orbit, the electron is revolving. But when the electron is revolving, there are 2 types of force are going to be exist. Electrostatic force of attraction because of positive charge of the nucleus and negative charged electron, and centripetal force is provided due to the revolving, because the electron is revolving in which path? Circular path. So finally the atom is electrically neutral. So what is meant by neutral? If take any example, so what is Z value is here 7, and what is atomic number 7, what is mass number 14. If you want to calculate the number of neutrons, you can use the formula A minus Z. So this is A. A means P plus N. This indicates P. So N becomes A minus Z, means 14 minus 7 becomes 7. But remember that maximum atoms, whatever may be the number of protons there, that much of electrons also present in an atom. That means in nitrogen, how many electrons are present? 7. How many protons are present? 7. So what will be the net charge? That is called as 0. That means we can say that when the positive charge of an atom is equal to total charge of the negative particle, then the atom is said to be what? Neutral. So what is meant by neutral? Total positive charge of an atom exactly equal to total positive charge, total negative charge of an atom, then the atom is said to be neutral. So that is the final point. See once again, atom has a small positively charged what? Nucleus. So always remember Rutherford means you should remember nucleus. So because who discovered nucleus? Rutherford. Then complete positive charge of the atom, complete mass of the atom always depends on the nucleus. Third point, radius of an atom is how much? 10 power minus 10 meter, and the size of the nucleus is how much? 10 power minus 15 meter. And there are two types of forces are exist here because of opposite charges, electrostatic force, and one more, the circular path force is called as what? Centripetal force. And we can say that the atom is electrically neutral. What is meant by neutral? Just now told that if there are 7 electrons, that means negative value is 7, positive value is 7, so total answer becomes 0. That means total positive charge, how much the total positive charge is there in the nucleus? If it is equal to total charge of an electron, that is negative charge, then if both are equal, we can say that the atom is in which position? Neutral position. So these are the postulates about Rutherford model. So in this also there are 2 to 3 demerits are there. You can see here drawbacks. First point is that it could not explain the stability of the atom. Then what is the second point? It could not explain about the spectral line. So what is the first point? It could not explain the stability of an atom. That means how the electron will be stable, how the atom will be stable. See here, if take an electron, if the electron is continuously revolving around the nucleus, then if it is going to be lost the energy after number of revolutions, then that electron is going to be enter into the what? Nucleus. So these are the drawbacks regarding the Rutherford, and these are the merits, that means positive points regarding the theory.